I love wearing a suit because I can talk about what's important, like how Antis supports Habitat for Humanity. This was the first logo jacket I ever got.
I've never heard anyone being more dramatic than you are right now talking about roof leaks.
What we're built for in California, our stucco is not a great siding, but our tile roofing with the right underlayment is a great roof. But solar yet is not something that Antis can aggressively pursue in a big way unless we change who we're selling to or the state changes the way power flow is regulated. But to your kids, in their eyes, you're gonna be the greatest fucking dad in the world. And I started crying, and I got my tattoo. It's dramatic.
All right, guys, have very special guest today, Charles Antis. I see him all over social media, especially on LinkedIn. You're big on LinkedIn. Is that your biggest platform, Charles?
Well, for me personally, it's the only platform that I'm comfortable hanging out in. It's like a mall, and I walk in every day and I say hi to the shop owners. That's the only one I'm personally capable of navigating.
Why did you pick it? Is it because of your business strategy? I know you're doing a lot of HOAs. Is this the reason why you pick LinkedIn, or is it something that you understand and came natural to you?
I think it both. It's where all my best friends are. If you look inside LinkedIn, I've got all of the other professional roofing companies, all of the other professional Orange County businesses. I have all of the nonprofits. I have all of the for-profit businesses that want to do good. And I have the demographic of those that inhabit Antis campus here, which is mostly immigrant and first-generation employees from Latin America, from Mexico, from El Salvador, and all of that reflects.
So are you getting actually jobs from it, or just brand awareness for you? Do you use it actually to get the business?
I don't.
You don't?
I use it for brand awareness. I use it for that long game of getting your story out there so people understand that this company exists for one reason. It's to keep families safe and dry, but also we develop our people to be the best that they can be. And I think that I need a platform, and Antis, you're going to find us everywhere. We just got on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. You're going to find us everywhere, and that's managed by Bobby, our visual storyteller. But for me personally, I'm comfortable with the audience here. I don't know the TikTok audience so well. I don't know the Instagram audience as well as Bobby does, but I know the LinkedIn crowd.
What about Twitter?
Twitter is something that if I wasn't so intimidated by it, I might be doing it. I've talked to Bobby about doing it. You might see me a couple months get a Twitter handle. It seems like it would fit me because I'm at an event every day. However, again, LinkedIn's where I'm comfortable.
All right. Talk to me about everything that Antis does. What's your specialty? What exactly you do? And what's your role in your company? I know you, everywhere you say you've been in business for over 30 years. I want to hear the story and how did you become who you became today, and what is Antis today?
Well, I am lucky. I often tell people I have the luckiest CEO position in Orange County, sitting as the CEO of Antis Roofing and Waterproofing, because I get to be that chief. I love the word chief when you really pause on it, because there's a deeper meaning there. The way that it was positioned to me as a kid, the chief of a tribe pauses to notice what's going on and to tell the right story that brings the people together to move forward and in the environment that they're in. So I am the chief people awakener, but I go by the title of founder and CEO. And at Antis, today we're a company that does look at things like everything matters. We say that every nail matters, and it's true. On the average roof we install has 200,000 parts, and we know if the nail doesn't go in far enough or it goes in too far, that roof won't perform to full warranty in that area. So we realize that every nail matters, but what that really says is people matter. And we've discovered that when we can pause on the people in our company and build bridges to them, no matter where they are, it gives us the ability to build bridges in community. And then our brand stands strong as our culture stands strong. And so I would say that we got here by two things. by professionalism on some sense, because I took it really seriously that my job was the job that was to keep families safe and dry. When somebody had a leak in their home and they had mold, it's like I took on their pain. And it's like when I would go inside that unit, I would go up on the roof afterwards and I would be desperate. I remember that feeling of desperateness, not having the ability or them not having the money to buy a whole new roof. So I had to figure out where the hole in the roof was. And I remember often being almost like divining water, looking for the source of the water where no one was looking. So I would go up on a place of the roof where no one was and lay my head down until my head hit the tiles. And then I would imagine I am water. Not unlike the raindrops behind me, but I am water dripping, pooling, pulling, clinging down the flashing underneath the tiles until many times I would actually see where the water would be and go and pull up the tiles and sure enough find that nail head that was bent funny, bending through the membrane. And when you have that experience and you tell your people and you realize that all other roofing pros like me love to solve the leak, to be the hero, to keep the family safe and dry. And then the other thing that happens, like it's happened to you and happened to so many other people, we go out to that house and we're pulled in and we're pulled into a kid's room, for example, where I was one time, where she's showing me a My Little Pony poster on the wall, but what instead I'm seeing is the moldy mattress at her feet where she sleeps. And when you have that occur, something else happened early in my company 34 years ago. And that is, in this instance, when the girl pulled me into her room and I saw that she slept on a moldy mattress, and then her mom walked back in the room with this worried expression on her face, I remember saying, maybe I can help with the roof. And then giving that family a new roof over the weekend so they could stay in their home. When you put those two things together, professionalism, knowing why you exist, and then showing up and needing to perform, as if I was a doctor on an airplane. When that happens, then I think you have a story that will hold your people together. If I'm chief, I need that story. And it also will pull me through and pull us through in the community. Well, people will believe and trust in this age where there's so much a lack of authenticity. People might believe that at Antis, we truly have people that care about keeping families safe and dry. And by the way, here's some stories of how they do it. So I take this really seriously when we talk about why we exist. I could tell you more stories about solving leaks, and I could tell you a lot more stories about donating roofs, because those two things are the key core of our existence.
I've never heard anyone being more dramatic than you are right now talking about roof leaks. So dramatic. And by the way, I love the poster behind you. It reminds me of movie posters. Almost looks like Indiana Jones in the movie. You know, behind. Like at first, when you came to the podcast, I'm like, what is that behind him? If he's in the movie studio, and then I start reading and just the colors, and it's raining. It's everything dramatic with you.
Well, it is dramatic. Thanks for saying that. You know, it's dramatic. Right now in California, we have the hardest rains we've had in 14 years, and it's dramatic for more than 3,000 families calling us right now, and their castle is being invaded by rain. Sure. And when you have rain coming in your home and you're not a roofing pro, it is dramatic because it feels like your roof's going to cave in. It feels like you're going to have a fire with the electrical outlet soaked. Now, we know that's not going to happen, but to us, it is. I love it that you say dramatic. You know, passionate is the word we would use. If you see my people, like if Bobby came over here, you saw him earlier, this big smile he has on his face, he's passionate about telling the visual story, and he's the one that designed this, because visual storytelling says so much more than that the words can say. That does look like a movie poster. It does look like Indiana Jones. And it's clear what he's doing. And it's clear that he's at risk to help a family stay safe and dry.
Love it. When I was preparing for this interview, I went online, I Googled your company name, I see results, I see the videos, I watched quite a few videos on your YouTube channel. One thing that bothered me, and I wanted to talk about it, and it's a hard conversation for all business owners, I want to talk and address your reviews, because I love visual storytelling. I love what we tell people about us, but you've been in business for 30 years, and I think you only have like 39 reviews on Google. Compared to size, it's not big amount. Is it because your clients are HOAs, bigger clients, and you did amazing job replying to them? So I think your rating is like 3.9 stars, and I've seen even 1-star reviews. You reply to every single one of them. People even said they fixed the problem, but the review is still there. How can we, as a business owners, can get our reviews up? And because I always say that you're only as big as you're big on Google, unfortunately, and you have great reviews on Facebook, you have better reviews at Yelp, but Google, I was shockingly surprised. So I went to read bad reviews, and I cannot call them bad because they're actually, it's communication and stuff like that, but they're recent. And like, how fair is it to your business, and what do you do to get that reputation up?
Interesting question. I did not expect that, but thank you for asking. Yeah, it's very frustrating as a business owner. So look at our model. So this is our model. We sell to more HOAs than anybody in Southern California. So we sell to about 1,500 HOAs that average 300 units in size. Now, that HOA that has 300 units, each one, it only has 4 boards of directors. Those are the people we're selling to, but there's 300 people that might have a beef with their HOA because they want a new roof, and the HOA says, no, we're not going to give you a new roof. So that ends up, so yes, we get plagued with reviews that we're detached from the decision from, because we're selling to a group of to a property manager and 5 board members, but there's 500 people that can be upset. So for us, if you were to look back a few years ago, we had this stellar reputation in the HOA world, but our ratings in some of the platforms was down to 2 stars. And so we spent a lot of time and money to lift that. And mostly that is calling clients when they're happy and saying, could you post? But sometimes it's doing what you said. It's calling up and saying, sometimes it's also disgruntled other competitors that are creating phony reviews, but you have to point that out sometimes to the platform. And some platforms don't clean it up. Like Yelp is not a platform that even when
Yelp
we pay
is
their
horrible.
money, Yelp literally, it's almost
Hides.
seems like they're out to get you.
Yes.
But, they're really built for something else, and they go, hey, we can make money here too. And what we found is we have no ability to affect the system. But I know we're working on the other platforms, and we've been able to lift our ratings, but I'm glad you brought that up. It's very frustrating and unfair. But at the same time, I'm never complain about that because I live in California. There's a lot of laws here that are unfair to business, but I try to keep my mindset ahead of it where I want to lead with generosity. We have a saying inside Antis written down that says this: it is my job to err on the side of generosity with all of my stakeholders.
Love it. No, and like I said, that was not pleasant surprise for me, but I wanted to address it because I felt like when I was reading it, it's not fair, and I wanted to understand why. And it's when you have a big corporation, big company, your Walmarts, your big stores, you're going to get a lot of complaints. And those companies actually don't have, 5-star reviews. Small business, like if you would have, you can do repairs every single day, average ticket $500, and you can have 500 reviews with 5 stars. But once you get an HOAs and big clients and you're doing 10 times more volume, it's very hard to keep over for just because of the sheer volume of people. Plus, people count your money. I see that big companies, I'm talking about $100 million plus businesses, they get a lot of negative reviews from people who were not even decision maker. It could be apartment or we get reviews. I don't know if I've shared a couple stories last year where tenants were writing reviews to roofing companies in the country, and business owners, actually, there's a story in Canada, I believe, that business owners sued the tenant because they were not even the customer. So they did a business with a homeowner, but tenant went and ranked them 1 star for something, and they decided to sue them. I don't think it's the right thing to do, but that's how frustrated it is. And if you're dealing with the HOAs, you have way more.
We've had completely unfair situations hit us, and yet that's just the way the HOA world is. It's highly litigious. Every HOA, there's going to be, if there's 200 units, there's going to be a couple of people there that have a reputation as they're going to give you trouble. But I look at it like, wow, what if I could be the company that the trouble people, they gave a good review to. So I look at it like, working with HOAs, selling in California, there's lots of things that could trip us up. But if you position it right, you can make yourself take advantage of all of the expectations.
And your reputation is within HOA, so it's probably word of mouth for them to recommend you. Your business probably doesn't even rely on Google reviews like most roofing companies who are residential only. Is it right?
You're right. You're exactly right. It's all about our relationships with all of the Southern California management companies that manage HOAs.
How hard is it to sell to a board? How many people usually are making decision, and how different is that sales pitch, or what's your process to sell or win the job, and how competitive it is in California?
It's a great questions. So it's very difficult. I think that the only reason it works well for us being a larger company that sells this is because of our brand, because we have a feel-good brand and our reputation. And the reason is it's such an easy entry. Anybody can enter. I mean, it used to be harder to enter, but now if you could open a business out of your home and a homeowner's board member invites you in, there's nothing keeping you out from bidding. And so what happens is people come in often with no overhead, and they have maybe good intentions, but they bid on something that they can't perform on or won't be able to keep the performance on par over the course of the roof. And so there ends up being really low pricing. And what happens to us is pricing goes in under our cost. And we have great costs. We have our prices down because we're able to buy in bulk. And so when that happens, it's scary. Now, what's great is we have this big rain right now, and it really helps us out. It gives us a lot of flow. But what I love about HOAs is it's like there's something powerful about a community that's supposed to work together. So when you have a reputation like Antis, where we donate all of the local Habitat roofs, all of the local Ronald McDonald House roofs, all of the Orange County Rescue Mission roofs. We have our stories ring out, and then it ends up creating a pause, I think, where people in the HOA market can realize maybe there's a difference in what you pay for. But in our case, we're never low bid. And so we're bidding in this environment where you have to really have relationships with people, understand your product, and understand that a roof isn't a one-year item, it's a 30-year plus item. And once that happens, I think, and your stories ring true, those old stories of me hanging off a roof, 30 years ago on a bosom chair with pieces of siding hanging in the wind until I finally found that little speck of mold that I dug around, and I found that nail that went through the pipe that caused that family to live in mold for 10 years. When those stories really sell, and I think the stories of the good we do to homeowners and homeowners associations in the community. And because sometimes it'll even show up in a board meeting where someone will be complaining, your prices are too high. And then another board member will say, no, that's Antis. They're doing great things in the community, and we hear these dramatic stories sometimes. So people listen, they do pay attention, and they do believe at the end of the day, you get what you pay for.
Love it. What stage of the growth is your company in right now? Are you still growing, or are you maintaining the same size year to year, or you're kind of...
That's a great question. Great question. So our growth is very much like I can tell you know a lot about business. If you stand and look back at business from way up here, you're going to see companies go from 3 to 7 million, and they're going to stall. Companies really struggle going past 10 million and gliding. And that's where we've been for a long time, because our ERP systems, our communication systems, it's no longer in my head. It's in this flow system that's very cumbersome in ways. And so right now what's happened is we've been in this $20 million phase for a few years. And I think what's happened is we're about ready to go through that we can grow freely stage, because we've really worked out the ERP system. We've really worked out the communications. We've really worked out the culture, the HR. And so I think right now with this rain, we're poised to go in toward 30 million. So I think once we get there, there's a lot more opportunity, but I'm not interested in size. I don't chase growth for growth's sake. I used to, and I would get these upside down years. Today, I'm very specific about what I chase. I chase impact. impact in the community, impact on the roofs. So, and what does that mean? It could mean for a homeowner association that needs a $5 million re-roof, maybe they could do a $300,000 maintenance and get 10 more years. That's impact. Or it could be in the community giving that rescue mission roof that's going to house 150 people and finding a way to get other people to get it done. But if I chase impact, then it draws the people that stay, and we can grow and stay. And one of the things that's happening right now that I'm so excited about, Dmitry, is we're hiring. I haven't heard of anybody hiring. Antis has hired 40 people since the beginning of the year. And
Wow.
I didn't know we could do that, but we do that because of the balance that we have between trade, inside and out, client, and staff.
Love it. What's your take on rejuvenation products? Do you do any of that? Do you treat shingles, or you just replace them and repair them? I'm talking about
That's a great
Roof
question.
Max, Greener. Like, there's quite a few options there.
I'm not. So personally, I have a bias against things that are not complete new systems. Now, I recognize that this is a personal bias. So coatings, I have a bias against coatings because I see the pain from bad coating jobs. Treatment systems, my bias would be sometimes the damage walking an old roof to treat it. I've seen people do that. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm saying I don't actively sell it. And the shake systems that we used to treat are no longer here. The wood shake systems have been classed out of California due to fire hazard.
Sure. What's your favorite roofing materials? Where do you see industry is going? There, rumor has it that we're not going to have asphalt shingles in 20 years from now because of asphalt shortages and a lot of other stuff. So we do have, metal on the rise. We have rubber shingles. Are you still all in on asphalt shingles, or you also installing some other products?
I'm open-minded on products. I mean, I used to be closed-minded because I'd see so many lifetime or 50-year products that would blow up in 5 years. Then I think the thing that really changed my view of roofing growth as far as production, what they're producing, is PVC. PVC has been the greatest West Coast revolution. We've taken flat roofing on HOAs, which was always the most maintenance cause problems, and we've turned it into maintenance free. So there are some systems, and I'm excited. I watch like Brava Tile. I look at a lot of things and seeing what they're happening. Am I actively out there selling it? No, and that's because I remember the last phase of some of the composite shingles where they had all those class action lawsuits. I'm not going to mention the names of them that didn't last. So it's not like I'm shying away from it, but I'm not going to make that the majority of what we focus. I have great relationships with GAF. I know how long their product lasts, so I'm going to sell that. I'm interested in selling their new solar product. I want to give that a go, and I'm interested in tile. I love the heavy. What we're built for in California, our stucco is not a great siding, but our tile roofing with the right underlayment is a great roof. And so we put down a lot of Eagle tile. I'm loyal to Eagle because we've donated this year will be 99 Habitat roofs in a row, almost 1.5 million in roofing. They've donated every single tile. And so I'm loyal to them because their product lasts. And because they stand behind their product. I've been watching them for years, and I love some of the traditional things. I'm less prone to go all in on anything that's new, just because new innovations in roofing, we've seen more failures over the years than we've seen more successes. Now, it may not be fair to say that. I'm washing back 30 years. There could be a trend in the last few years. There's a lot of innovation that's really impressive. Sure. But going back a long time, we see little success against the claims.
Love it. You mentioned GF solar. Is it the only solar system you install? Is that what you picked in a solar game? How big you're in a solar?
So solar is something that we talk about. It's something that we do some of, but it's not a big part of it because, again, we're only selling to HOAs. And the HOA can't buy solar. They can't grab solar and put it on their unit. They can only get solar to heat their pool house unless all 300 of the people sign off on it, and that's never happened. So solar is not yet an option in California until there's a power flow change, which I hear is going to happen in Sacramento, where they're going to allow an HOA to control the power flow and actually make money for the HOA by putting in solar. But until that happens, it's not going to be something we sell. Now, it doesn't mean we don't sell it a little bit. And the products that I'm interested in solar really are some of the newer products. I'm not as interested in Tesla yet because I want to see proof of concept. I want to see it when the NDAs are released. I want to see what's really going on. It doesn't mean I don't think it's great. I'm excited about it. I have friends that are doing it. But I do know the problem with solar when you add 10 times the connections. I have been involved in a startup that took solar from the big panels and put it into the little tiles and added 10 times the connections, and it created 10 times the potential fail, power flow, fire connections. I'm not saying Tesla's going to have that. I'm saying I'm watching that. I'm also watching GAF's new product. It's not that I don't trust that too. I love GAF. I work with their VPs. I'm very keen on it. So we're going to try them. We're going to try them out and we're going to see what happens. But solar yet is not something that Antis can aggressively pursue in a big way unless we change who we're selling to or the state changes the way power flow is regulated.
But what's going on in your market? Because your competition is pretty fierce on solar, and I see a lot of failures, a lot of companies screwing the homeowners. I've been in California last year, and I've seen, homeowner paying $90,000 for solar system, and ended up not even owning it. It's like a lease program, and there's
there's a lot of bad. You're right. There's a lot of bad vibes in the solar market. Two of the biggest roofing companies in California in the last several years have gone out of business, and mostly to their investment in solar. Solar hasn't panned out so well for the roofer that's got involved yet here. And many of the roofers that did get involved, and it's not Antis, sold a product that was the homeowners not happy with. What you said, they end up paying almost the same amount of money, but they don't even own, they lease. And so some of their value is going away to a third party. And that was how this whole thing started 15 years ago, this new phase in solar, but that quickly became bad taste. Yet there were companies that were still selling it. So yes, it's not a market for happy homeowners with roofers, and it's not a market for happy roofers who've done well. It's been a market where good roofing companies, $100 million and more, have gone out of business pursuing because it's been a little bit of a bloodbath in chasing it. So I think it's the future. It's there. We're going to be doing it. Someday, most of our sales are going to be in solar. It makes sense, but it's not yet today.
I agree 100%. And on my channel, because of my videos, I have a lot of whistleblowers. I have a lot of both homeowners, ex-employees of Tesla, for example. I probably talked to 5 people who've been involved at Tesla in different markets who either resigned or shared like some disturbing stuff from New Jersey to California, and I have not seen it's working. Like even for roofing companies, everybody's tried it, invested.
Oh, you mean the actual solar product that they're putting down?
Yes, this
I haven't heard any reports yet.
Yeah,
because I'm involved in the NRCA and the Roofing Alliance, and when Tesla knocked 4 years ago, they only applied for a $350 affiliation. They didn't want any cross collaboration. As the board at the time, we wanted to collaborate, and they wanted to keep theirs completely in the dark. Now, that might be a good entrepreneurial strategy. That's bigger than me. But it wasn't great for me being a roofing pro that really wants to flow with this and learn from this.
Well, like I said, I talked to quite a few roofers who collaborated with Tesla. Nobody could make money because it takes forever to install. The labor is so intense. And it seems to me that Tesla now wants roofers to install it, but per their specs, and they're not roofers. Product is great. I love Elon Musk. Concept is great, but we're not there yet. Just like with the cars too. Like it's great cost. I have Tesla. I love it. But is it really better than gas yet? I mean, we invest in technology. We believe in it and we support him, but solar is not there. Let's switch a little bit to your charities. I want to know what's behind and what kind of strategy you have. Because there's so many roofers out there who try to do a roof giveaway. And I often tell them that if you do something like that, you have to have a class. You have to have the right motives. You have to be financially stable to do that. A lot of companies doing it wrong. They're doing it for publicity. They're doing it for marketing purposes only, mainly, and they're not equipped. And I tell many roofers, like, you cannot start giving away roofs on the first year in business. It's not going to bring you more jobs, and you're going to go broke. How do you do it? What's your strategy? Do you have a budget for it? Is it a percentage from entire sales, or you just do it by emotionally? What's your strategy for all your charities? Because you are probably the most given roofer I know. Like I've seen your blood drives. I mean, I see entire company involved in a charity, and when I see your content, I like it. I cannot say the same about others. Like I hate when people doing surprise checks, and it feels safe. What's the word I'm trying to use? Fake.
Genuine, authentic.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
it's not
feels
authentic.
like they're given, but they're given it for recognition, and you can see it right away. With you, you don't get that feel.
Yes.
What's your
I
strategy?
think
How do you do it?
I can speak around that. Might need to steer me back a little bit, but
Sure.
yes, it's very tangible what you're talking about. I'm very much aware of when a giving model lacks authenticity, where there isn't no real story to connect you, or no real vulnerability. Even if it is real, it feels funny. And there are ways to make it more real. And I think before I want to say something that's more of a finished product because I don't want to miss it. The filter. There is a filter through which you tell a story, and it's critical you hit this. It's critical you hit this if you want to succeed in cause marketing, which is what we do. We talk about something, the good that we're doing, and it has to be real. And the filter is this. When I tell a story, I'm telling it as real as I can, and I'm showing the vulnerabilities of it. And I'm telling it with the intent that you, in your market, that Kelly Roofing in Florida, that Chicago, wherever you're at, you'll be able to emulate and try and do something similar. And so if you share it in a way that you're showing really how you tried to do it, telling a story, a unique story about trying to do this and why, then what happens is it rings with authenticity, and people crave it more than anything. And the reason you want to do this, I get it's great that you want to do this, and there are ways you can, but you crave it because you're craving real authenticity. There's never been such a perception in the world of a lack of authenticity. Whether it's true or not, we perceive that person isn't real, and we're craving authenticity. And the only way authenticity really shows up is when there's cause and vulnerability involved. And that's why this matters. So you've seen me do this many times, and I'm going to show off my Ronald McDonald socks. I wear those socks every day. I've been wearing them for 6 years on 2 campaigns, and a lot of good has come out of it. But it's a real story. My kids were born premature and inside the children's hospital, and the doctors told me I had to come in twice a day and pull off my shirt and lay them skin on skin 2 hours. So we did it every day until the day that I had heartburn, and my wife was already in there with Gracie, and I was supposed to have Charlie on my chest, and I couldn't go in. And I had ignored Ronald McDonald House every day up until that point. I'd ignored them when they offered me a bed and offered me anything to keep me close to my kids. But on that day, there was no attendant. I stole a little Nature Valley granola bar. I took that bar because I thought it would help my gut. And the only thing I remember is an hour and a half later is Charlie asleep on my chest with my shirt off in chalk NICU, and I had no more heartburn. And so when I tell that story, it's real. My people believe me, and they get that. They've had sick kids in their house. And I tell that story to the roofing profession. It's real. That's why we've adopted every roof on every house across the country, over 200 companies. So I think that when it's real, when you have real stories, when I tell that real story, when I had no money but I could solve leaks, as I said earlier, when I knocked on that woman's house and I smelt that mold and I wanted to leave, but the little girl pulled me into her room to show me the poster of the My Little Pony poster. But at that moment, I looked down and saw the mold. I mean, those stories don't go away because everybody smelled mold. They'll always have that moment. And then I tell them, oh my God, Dmitry, I gave them a new roof. I didn't know I could, but I was able to get the volunteers and we were able to get that. When you tell those real stories, then it starts to ring true. And so that's the secret. Tell the real stories and make sure you include some vulnerability in there because people crave vulnerability.
Love it. Thank you so much. So it's a strategy and you call it cause marketing. Do you have a budget for that?
That's a great question. Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. So let me compare my vision for Antis. I was in a Vistage meeting, business owners group, about 16 years ago. And this guy was really gung-ho talking about Coca-Cola. He said, you know, Coca-Cola actually takes like 18 to 20% of their top line number that they sell, and they put it back into marketing. And it sounded so crazy because in my industry, people were putting 0.02% back into marketing. But I thought it felt right because I also knew that could be some of the giving. And so that's what Antis does. We put a lot back into the giving. We put a lot back in. And it's not that number, but I believe in that. I believe if you build it that way, good people come and they stay. In the roofing industry, there's 54% attrition rate. Antis Roofing holds a 90%. We hold 90% of our employees. And like I said earlier, we're hiring today when I don't see that happening elsewhere. So there's big reasons to let it be like this.
Love it. So you hired 40 people this year alone in a few
Since
months?
the beginning of the year. Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. And
Where do you find people? Because they say that no one wants to work anymore, and then you come to established businesses like yours who just hired 40 people. Is it roofers? Is it office personnel? Who did you hire, and where did you find them?
Great question. So you're right. The climate out there, when I talk to other business owners, they talk as if they're in another land and there's no people. There's nobody out there. That's what they're saying. And yet we're hiring, and we're hiring through word of mouth, which is mostly how hiring in the roofing business goes in the field. And I'm talking about technicians. We've hired a couple office people, but most of them are roofing professionals. And of the roofing professionals that we're hiring, I would say most have roofing experience. We're also hiring those that have come from other trades or from carpentry into roofing. So we're hiring across the board, and I think it has a lot to do with our stories, the way our purpose shows up. We know why we exist, like I said before. And because not only do I get fulfilled in donating roofs, but other people tell what what fulfills them, like Corey Vernum, my marketing manager, Bobby's boss. She has this ability to use horses and equine therapy to help people. So she donates her time at the Shea Center every week. And we went with her there, and we had this amazing moment next to horses feeling enveloped in love. And so when you have all of this stuff constantly occurring and churring, it creates a vibe and stories that it's not the press stories. We do get a lot of press stories, and I'm so grateful for those. But it's really those word of mouth stories that happen 1,000 times more. And they're told over and over and over again when you have impact in the community and when you reach to find out what fulfills your people. And I know what fulfills my people. I know which causes that each of them donate to because we ask them.
Why do you always wear a suit?
Well, I actually have a few outfits, you might say. I love wearing a suit because I can talk about what's important, like how Antis supports Habitat for Humanity. This was the first logo jacket I ever got because I've been on this board for like 12 years. I like to get a jacket. I'll be at lunch and I'll forget I have it on and I'm pulling out my wallet. What's that? And I get to tell about getting a call from Sharon Ellis 12 years ago asking me if I'd donate a roof for a military family. And I didn't think I could, but I did, and how we've donated everyone 1 cent. So I had a new suit made a few weeks ago. I've been wearing the heck out of it because it's on the new board I just joined, the Boys and Girls Club. And it's got the Boys and Girls Club logo, Antis' logo, and the Roofing Alliance logo because I have the idea that roofing pros across the country can perhaps take care of these 1,000 clubs, keeping them safe and dry, and maybe we can bring career access to the kids on the inside. And by the way, loose visions, that's all I got. But I've learned that's the best way I can run my company. I no longer have a tight vision. I want to build this to the Boys and Girls Clubs, and I want it to be built exactly like this. And those plans never came. It never happened until I learned to envision towards something and let other people use their vision in with mine. And that's what we have today. It's not just here at Antis Roofing where I have very loud VPs doing great work, but it's also with those other professionals across the industry of roofing across the country. We're going to Dallas next week. I hope I see you there. And it's also in the leadership of Orange County and all of the boards that we serve on. We're able to really move the dial.
Love it. Yes, I will be at IRE. Hope to meet you there as well. You mentioned you gave away a roof to a military family. Give advice to business owner who never gave away a roof. And it's a very delicate topic because we cannot help everyone. There's way more roofs and way more needs and way more poor people in America who cannot afford it. And for example, I was at a business in Nashville a couple of weeks ago. They hired marketing company. Marketing company ran an ad on behalf of business to give away free roof. They have like 80 leads, but they only could do one. How do you pick a winner? How do you choose who to actually give it away to, and maybe who not to give the roofs to? I know it sounds bad, but it's a very delicate topic. You cannot.
Okay, that's good.
You still have to be profitable, and you cannot help everyone. But where's the balance?
Well, you have to not get into too much of a sticky situation too, and you never know. You know, you have somebody that needs a roof. There might be a lot of needs there that you're not capable of handling, and so I'm going to say something that sounds boring maybe to some people, but we're really well known, and we did not build our brand by making up our own cause. Now, we might have some of our own involved in some startups since then, but we're known because of the work we've done with Habitat for Humanity. We're known for the work we've done with Ronald McDonald House, Boys and Girls Club, you know, these existing things. And I think that's the model, the critical model, the way to get involved is to get involved through your nonprofit, your local nonprofit. And it could be, there's a lot of them that are providing housing. I don't want to start mentioning them, but Habitat's a great one because it's almost in every county. And what happens is, and this is the other thing I want to say, when you get involved in doing this, don't do what we did. I'm okay, I'm glad that we did it, we learned, and that's what, hey, we're doing this alone and we have the spotlight. We weren't doing it for the spotlight, but we were doing it alone. What I've learned is this: the deferred light is better than the spotlight. If you want to get attention, you want attention in a group. So get your roofing supplier involved. They'll do it if you're going to donate the labor, and also talk to the manufacturer of shingles. If you're doing a shingle roof, someone's going to donate it. If you're going to donate the labor, and then what? And then you can even get your competitor. Imagine having a competitor. I know it hurts. It feels like you're getting shivved, but that is where things start to get magic. You know, bring a competitor. Maybe find someone who doesn't compete. Like we often today get donations from like Best Contracting Services, the largest roofer on the West Coast. They're a commercial. We're in the HOA world. We don't compete. But I like having competitors there too. I like the way it makes people slightly uncomfortable and it makes us better at what we do. So, but I think when you do that, you don't have to have a big layout. You don't have to plan it yourself. You just have to bring a couple of guys and show up with a few guys one day and get to have this great event that you'll always remember, high fives and hugs that you'd never hugged and high fived before, that will stick with you and always lift you in those moments, and then you'll do it again. And then as you do it again, the organization starts to slowly occur. But our organization of our philanthropy really occurred through the mentoring of the nonprofits. It was Habitat's marketing director 10 years ago that started saying, Charles, when we were having a bad year, stop telling our story, tell your story. And that's the first time I ever told the story of giving a roof to the family of the little girl who slept on the moldy mattress. I didn't know I was supposed to tell that story. I didn't know that my people needed to hear my why. I didn't know that you needed to hear my why. Now that I understand that, I want to know your why, you know, and when you work with us. And so we're very story-focused creatures as humans. So at Antis, we're really aware of that. We know each other's stories, and we're always finding out more.
Love it. That was awesome. I want to finish this interview with the last advice. I want you to give advice to someone who just quit working for a company, maybe your ex-employee who goes on their own. So someone works for a roofing company and decides to quit and open their own business. Give them advice.
Well, you're a craftsman. You know, you're really good at solving leaks or putting on this roof or both. Now, it's going to completely change. Now you're going to go into a people manager, and that's probably not your expertise if you're like most people. So I think what you really need to do to establish it is to make sure that everybody understands you. What is your why? What is the thing that you do best in roofing, and how can you guys do it together? And then the last thing is, what is the thing that you're so good at that you could also share? And then let your team know what you're doing. If you can get your real story to show up in what you do, and let your real story show up in what you give, you'll create trust and purpose in your company, and that'll help bridge over this initial period. And there's a lot of other advice too. If you want to get involved in cause, join the committee on the place where you're donating the roof. Join a committee. It's a couple hours a month. And then let them know you're interested. And then look toward sitting next to those board members on that board. Make sure when you get involved with a nonprofit that it not only is a well-known brand, that everyone knows what it does and it builds bridges all the way to everybody. But make sure that the CEO is somebody that's sharp, the executive director, somebody that looks like they could run a real company, or you're going to get a lot of chaos in your life. And look at the board members. If there's not board members you know that have something you want, then don't join that board. This is selfish, but you have to do what's good for you. Join a board where you would be honored to sit next to those board members because they have presence, they are goodness, because they're good people. Then what will happen is you will become them. And you'll see yourself higher. Your people will see themselves higher. You'll be able to build bridges all the way to everybody, and you'll really be able to affect keeping families safe and dry. That's what we're able to do in a big way. And I think my team is really proud. I'm able to say things like this and look at them in the eye. And they come back and usually say, yeah, we do feel that way, Charles. I'm careful sometimes because I'm so enthusiastic. And there's times I was talking about culture 10 years ago. We have the best culture, and I come back and crickets. So, but today it matches up. Can I show you something?
Sure.
6 months ago, I was getting pressure to get a tattoo. I don't have any tattoo. I was raised in a way you don't tattoo your body.
Okay.
But my wife and her family, we were in Vegas, and they've got a couple of small tattoos together, and I'm always standing around. Well, 6 months ago, I come home from work, and my daughter, Gracie, and her twin brother are sitting there, and Gracie, who's 8, she's got this little tattoo sheet. She goes, Daddy, pick a tattoo. And she's drawing a butterfly at her mom's wrist. So I picked this little smiley face, heart face kid. And then I said, okay, I'm ready, Gracie. She goes, I can't, I'm doing Mom's. Charlie, you do it. So her twin, Charlie, did his interpretation of Gracie's a heart face on my chest. And so it looks so cool. And I thought, I'm going to do this. And I talked to some tattoo people, and they said, don't do child's art. It looks like crap. You don't do it. So I decided I wasn't. And then I was in Vegas last weekend with my wife. She got me a little drunk. Not really, but I had a few. And then we go over to the tattoo parlor, and she gets her new tattoo, which I knew she was going to get, a little redwood tree on her wrist. And then she starts saying, you going to do this? And I'm like, I don't know. What are people going to say? And then Mo, the tattoo artist with tattoos on his eyelids, says, actually, Charles, is going to look like shit. And he said, but to your kids, in their eyes, you're going to be the greatest fucking dad in the world. And I started crying, and I got my tattoo, which is the heart face that, I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah, I can see it.
There it is. There's the tattoo.
Heart face, okay.
The heart face that
yeah, we can see it.
Drew. And that's exactly what it looked like, and I just got it for reals. So I'm pretty proud of that tattoo. I haven't told the story yet, but I've been wanting to tell it. I just a little shy.
No. This is perfect opportunity. I actually have my kids in my office now. They're working behind the camera. I have Sophia. She's 10, maybe 11. And a couple days ago, she did one of those watery tattoos. So she came to me, she's like, Daddy, I want you to put a tattoo on your shoulder. And I'm like, okay. And then it was the cutest thing ever. I have this octopus, little soft toy. She gives it to me, and she said, hold on it because it's going to hurt. Like, she's seen somewhere on the TV that tattoos hurt. It's like, if it's going to hurt, you just squeeze it. I'm like, okay, I got it. She went, she watered it, she put it on. It was the cutest thing ever. And I showed it to my wife. Thank you so much for sharing. You guys heard it from Insights Podcast first. Charles got his tattoo. Guys, if you enjoyed this Enthusiastics episode, comment below your feedback. I want to know your reason why you do what you do in your business. Comment below. We'll read all our comments. Give it a like for Charles. Thank you so much, sir.